What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. Rocco just got roomed as well. He is looking dapper with a nice little Lee's bandana, a little extra pep in his paw here. Nice little. All right, so interesting trading. Just first thing I want to start off with here. Obviously, we always do a 5-day look back. So that's going to be pretty important because that is going to be from our, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday session. So this is everything from post, election acknowledgement. And to be honest, it's almost like the playbook is too simple. Without giving too much away, it's been Bitcoin, it's been banks. And it's a lot of stuff that's worked from 2016 to 2020. It's pretty interesting stuff. But today was about interesting day, low volume in terms of the S&P, a lot of trading in Bitcoin and Tesla and such. But today was about, in terms of multiple Sigma movers, nothing to the upside. So totally the market taking a digestion. We'll take a look at the SPY chart. Not a massive move, but you'll take a look. We were lower. Russell took it on the chin, but it's been on an absolute tear. So of course, some profit taking happened there. But today, biotechs in Europe was really where things fell apart a little bit. I don't want to say fell apart, but they dropped more handsomely, I'll say, than the other areas. Biotech and Europe down about 2.5%, while new all-time highs for, you guessed it, Bitcoin came very close to 90K yesterday. We'll take a look at it. New all-time highs for BTC or whatever your relative Bitcoin ETF is, unless it's BITO. BITO is not doing well due to the way of it borrows futures. So it's not a great ETF. It's not a perfect proxy for Bitcoin. I'd much rather see you in, BTC or the GBTC or IBIT. IBIT is the one I'm in, and that's my favorite. And also new all-time highs for IGV and XLC. XLC finally stopped having Meta go lower because of Zuckerberg and Facebook being on Trump's poop list, and that rebounded today. Google's also doing well, and Canada new all-time highs, and that's with oil not doing superb. It's under it's $68 a barrel, and typically Canada very correlated, commodity rich nation, correlated with oil, but that had new all-time highs today. Of course, they also have RBC and a lot of financials in there as well. So without further ado, let's take a look-see. I will share my screen. But yeah, strange day. We'll take a look at what really happened here. The dollar also had a massive move up. That's at 52-week highs, and that's going to put a little bit of a lid on potential firms like Coke and a lot of companies that do business overseas internationally. We'll take a look. Europe was a big part. So here you take a look here. Kind of looks like this guy's in a strange wheelchair, but he's not. He's looking at his Bitcoin holdings, as it were, which is at the heart of the world here. And I'm guessing this is some sort of a SpaceX gadget rocket ship here. But yeah, Bitcoin is where all the action is here if you want to see in writing. So biotechs in fall, we'll split the difference. One was down 2%, one was down 3%. We'll take a look at the charts in depth, but that's where the pain was today. I owned an individual biotech that was down in line with the subsector. So if you had biotechs on today, not a superb move. Rates did jump a little bit today. They jumped quite a bit, actually. And that was in lieu of, the bond markets closed yesterday for Veterans Day. Thank you if you're a veteran out there. New all-time highs here, as you can see, for Bitcoin, the IGV, that very important internet index, and the communications ETF, which is basically the Meta Google fund, and Canada. All right, without further ado, let's get into the charts here. We always start. We'll look at the intraday trading for SPY, and then we'll go from there. All righty. So let's take a look. All right. So here is the intraday. Yes. So here is the SPY opening bar. Didn't trade well for the entire morning. We bottomed right there around 12:30, 1 o'clock at 595. And then we actually battled all the way back to get right in line with VWAP. VWAP was 597.20, and we closed 597.28. So not too bad. Closed basically at VWAP, or a hair above. Just to recap, like we said in our Friday video, see the accumulation phase going to November 20th on or around, which is next Wednesday. And my target for this had been around 595 to 600. Whoops, move that box. So let me zoom out here. There you go. There's a one-day chart. So we peaked yesterday on the 11th on Veterans Day at 600.17. My target all along has been, 595 to 600 on the higher end. And then today we had that $2 decline. So now what? As I said, bullish accumulation. I still think you're going to see this euphoria through right about next Wednesday. We'll see what kicks it. Earnings are, for the most part, I don't want to say winding down, but the important firms have mostly reported. I do believe NVIDIA is like the last big one next week. I think Cisco or something might be today, but in terms of the majors, they've reported, and I think more than half beat, and things look good, explaining where we are here. So as I said, still expecting us to be about 595 to 600 by next Wednesday. So you're saying, so what do I do here with $2 or $3 of upside and pullbacks? I do expect us to bring us to about 580 to the 585 region, but I don't think that's going to happen until early December, and then onwards to the Santa Claus rally. So that's pretty much where I see it. So I'm long, staying long, thankful to be there. Be careful picking your spots here, depending on the area. Maybe we'll uncover some setups today. But yeah, so in terms of upside, maybe $3 from where we are. So pretty richly valued, and pullbacks would take you down to about, as I said, 580 to 585. So that's about 12 points or so in SPY. All right. So let's take a look now at what moved significantly to the upside. It's been a while since I've said this, but to the upside, there actually was nothing today in a multiple sigma manner. So pretty interesting. It was, we'll take a look at really what happened. So upside, nothing in a major move in terms of a major cap. So I know like the cannabis stocks moved massively today because Chris Christie said Trump is going to, I believe, decriminalize, and that had a massive reversal. MSOS, for example, and MJ with their two big ETFs. I don't really cover them here because they're just very small dollars committed towards it. So just wanted to mention it because that was the only thing I had to search for the upside. Once the Harris chances dipped, and she was talking about obviously decriminalizing it, the ETF has completely cratered, and then now on that news, it took a big rally. But anyway, let's talk about really major market movers. So the down movers, there was two. The biotech ETF. All right, so this was closed down 2.6%. It's a pretty major move. It did, however, hit a 52-week high yesterday, and a pretty important level actually, because it's been contending with this 103 half level, as it were, all the way back here in March. And then again here in July, and then again in August, September, quite a lid. And then now it got to that yesterday, got to 105 half essentially. And then we dipped all the way to 101. So now what I do recommend, I did remember recommending this a couple weeks ago, saying I do think, in terms of there's no such thing as a quadruple top, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll count this as kind of one. And then 5. So kind of interesting. You think that this would be the push when you finally, put your foot towards the door handle and break the door down. Yeah, I like this about here. Once these moving averages started to curl up right around 98, 99. And then my target for this had been right around 104. We got to 105 half yesterday, essentially. And now we're all the way back to 100. Now what? Still rather be long than short. But again, similar to the market, I think this is fully valued. And you might have a drop like this in the market coming. I'm calling for a 3% pullback over the next, like I said, to the first week of December. I still see bullishness for the next week or so. So we're kind of splitting hairs, of which I really don't have much to do. But you could see the 3% reduction in SPY. You could see it come in one day. You could see it come in a slither, of days and stuff like this. In an ETF like this, it comes down in one where the volatility is raised. So all that being said, this looks like it ran in full, meaning a nice move here from 97 October 29th, for example, and all the way to 105 half yesterday. I think this pulls back to just about 100. So congrats if you caught that move. Again, 52-week high yesterday. Rather be long than short, but I do think over the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, while it may still have a little bit temporary upside, I do think this just trades sideways around here to about 100. Alrighty, and then the other one, there's a lot of different European ETFs. You could have EFA. I'm going to take a look at VGK, but there's a lot of European ETFs that took pain today, obviously with the dollar move. So let's take a look at this. This is the one I'm going to choose to look at, VGK. This is a Nestle, Novo Nordisk, SAP, SAP. So pretty good ETF to capture Europe. The other one I would have looked at is EFA, but we'll look at VGK here. which is the Vanguard FTSE. So a lot of based in the UK. UK took much of the brunt of it today. So 52-week highs, but this was struck way back here in September 27th. Nice rising 200-day moving average, but we haven't seen this for a little bit of for several assets because everything's been up and away. But here we start the clock, right? So October 31st, Halloween could be, folks sniffing out, wanting to get more in U.S. markets, sniffing out a Trump win, whatever. Obviously, rates move and the dollar move. But here, the clock started October 31st, rising 200-day moving average, not been oversold once this year, right? No red. So pretty much a superstar performer. I do think this reclaims its 200-day moving average, which is 67.69. It's very close. Today it closed at, what does I see here? 65.13. So it's got a little bit of chopping wood up ahead of it. Not the best area to be in. There's obviously a lot better, like Bitcoin and Ark and the banks, which we'll talk about all of them next. But I do think this is still not a terrible chart. I do think this gets to about $68, meaning it'll reclaim the 200-day moving average just a tad. So where my cursor is, and then probably trade sideways from there. So better areas to be in than Europe. And Europe got handled today down 2%. All right. EFA, similar. I mean, I'm just going to pull it up just to see it, but it's very similar. 1.9, the clock. Basically, this one had a little bit of a rebound, and its clock started November 8th, just 4 days ago. So we'll give this one a little bit more leeway. This is less specifically the UK and more, France, Spain, etc. So Europe today, not so good if you held European stocks. Now let's get to what everyone wants to see and talk about, and we'll do it through IBIT and BTC because, people hold obviously a lot of both, and Coinbase has had a major rip. So we'll start with Bitcoin or IBIT. That's the one I own. This is by BlackRock. Very low expense fee as well. I recommend it. New all-time highs today. Okay, this one peaked at 51.25 and closed at 50.60. If you recall, the 52-week low on this was January 23rd. Everyone thought when this, you can't say IPO, but when the ETF was released on January 11th, people thought it was going to go just straight up from there. It came out at 30, traded down to 22, and then just up and away. Obviously, here is the Trump win. You can see that big candle right there. It was 42 that day. We rode to 50. Now what? My full valuation, again, you got to be careful what spots you're in here. Similar to the market, not a ton of upside, but this has crazy MOMO, which is, of course, momentum. My value for IBIT was right around 44 to 45. So here we're talking 51. It's just a bit richly valued. Again, sounds like I'm a broken record here. Rather be long than short, but my target on this is 45 to 48 absolute tops, and that's with that volatility expansion you got after the election. If you could tell, these bands are as wide as they've been since IBIT came out. Okay, maybe the other one would be here when it was overbought as well back in March, and that's when you have like BITO forming your 52-week high, and that's when the prior Bitcoin, the really hard 52-week high had previously been struck. I think it was 73K. So yeah, don't love chasing it here, but of course the people chase a short-term momentum. But again, my target for this is about 44 to 48. And I give a big fat range like that because it is Bitcoin. So when it's trading 51, essentially, don't love to chase here, but I am long in a couple accounts. And again, some of the best performers, you can look this up, under the first Trump administration was Bitcoin, Ark, and banks. And the best three gainers since the election, again, 5-day look back. So we're looking at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, and today's Tuesday. So it's Bitcoin, and we're going to take a look at the next chart, Ark. And these are almost a very simple playbook. It's almost like people are just copying what worked then with absolutely no, innovation or development or adjustment to the markets today. And that's fine. It's almost like cheating, but that's what's working. So this is the Ark chart. Crazy breakout again. The thing had peaked last Christmas, okay, at $54 or so. And then again, you can almost tell already the Trump bar right here, okay, the low was 47. This is going from 47 all the way to 58. So it's a monster move. Going to say the same exact thing. Rather be long than short. I don't think this has a ton more of upside in the short term. I definitely want to be long this, though. Obviously, Tesla is, I think, a 15% holder of this, or 15% holding in this. My full target for this is about 52 to 54. So again, richly valued. Don't be surprised if you get a down move here. It actually was down 1.8% today, but I'm talking about something more significant. Let's see if today is the beginning of it. It actually closed in the middle of the range today. The low is 56.38 to 58.22, and it closed pretty much smack dab in the middle at, call it 57. All right. And then the next one, let's see what we have to say for the regional banks. So just to put some percentages about this, by the way. So Bitcoin through IBIT in the past 5 days is up 29%. So this thing's just been doing on average 6% up a day. The Ark in comparison up 18% in the past 5 days. So also doing very well, but a little bit lesser alpha there. And then the regional banks up 13%. Okay, in the past 5 days. Pretty monster gain for regional banks today, down just about 60 bips. I can already tell what I'm going to say here. Rather be long than short. Not a ton of upside. Let me see here. Yep. So my target for this was about 64 to 65. We're trading 66.5. And this was down 60 bips. So not much more I can add about that. I'm not just trying to make this a long video. But those areas, by the way, are just absolute crushers in terms of like what you want to invest in. Through year end, probably small caps will have a very good drift where you might want to be involved in for like 6 weeks. But in terms of the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, I don't think you can avoid. If the one thing you take away from this, invest in Bitcoin, semiconductors, and banks. Okay, he's going to deregulate. That's going to encourage hiring for these from regional banks and semiconductors. There's just such heavy spend in terms of AI. Perhaps you saw the announcement today from Amazon that they have a $500 million deal with NVIDIA. So these guys just have buyers lined up through 2026. Don't be stupid. Okay. Next, top 3 losers of the past 5 days. Obviously, much of these are going to be Harris affiliated. So TAN cannot get out of its own way. These individual companies are having, we've been talking about it, very few weak areas of the market. Yet, here we go, a new 52-week low. This is just such an amazing thing. If you, the day of election day, you voted and you came back and you shorted this at 41 as technical analyst, that was a beautiful trade. Good, you got 42 bucks rather, all the way down to 34 in just 7 days. So again, TAN is down 17% in 5 days, the opposite of ARK. Okay, so ARK is up actually 18%, and TAN is down 17%. So monster trades if you did that. Not exactly a great pairs trade, but it works. Today down 4%, ugly candle here. So this is almost the polar opposite of what I said in terms of IBIT, ARK, regional banks richly valued above target. So to my downside, I was a bear on TAN, but my low downside target is right around 35. So this is going a little bit under. Perhaps it stays right around here with vol expansion, which it looks like you're getting. But this is clearly in free fall. This chart is the chart of death. Top left of your screen to the bottom right. You do not want to own this. Just had a nice, the only thing that this had was a nice Memorial Day week through early June. That was it, which probably spooked some people when rates were declining back then, but terrible place to be in terms of investment. Do not be in solar. If you need a short idea, and I'm probably going to look potentially at this depending on when it unwinds, essentially, when I'm looking for shorts, when we reach our distribution phase for SPY mid next week, I'll be looking at weak garbage like this. So we'll see. But again, almost at full value in terms of 34.35 is my downside on this. All right, next, volatility was the second biggest loser. Not as much as TAN, go figure, but this is down 13% through VXX over the past 5 days. So we said there's going to be a vol crush once the election is over because, of course, the markets can take a sigh of relief and know that the uncertainty is over and that we get, a clear, decisive winner, and that was good to the tune of 13%. Today, vol technically, pretty much hung in there, down 30 bips, so it's down again, even with the indices, 4 out of the 4 majors down. In terms of target, let's see. Maybe I have something different to say about this. Still think this is good. So this has obviously volatility inverse relationship with SPY, for example, since it's pricing put options at the monies and S&P and different skew levels. So if I have an accumulation phase ending for SPY on or around November 20th, that means this is going to mean distribution on or around the 20th. That being said, my target for this is right around. It's more volatile. I'll say 42 to 46, almost the exact same numbers I said for the other asset. But yeah, and it's right there in the middle. So you could have potentially a little bit lower right to about where my cursor is, a little bit more of a slow bleed there to 42. But I don't think these 52-week lows are going to be taken out, which is 40 even on July 12th. It's interesting to me. Could be, different meanings or interpretations of that. Why, if the market's making new all-time highs, why isn't volatility? There's also, in terms of the borrow, and it's expensive to roll, so there's going to be expenses going in this. So you can look at dollar VIX for that or different asset. All right, so TAN down 17%, VXX down 13%. Your next loser, and I'm in this one, taking a bath. They have exited the gold miners and the gold trade for now. I don't think it is permanent. In fact, I think it's basing right around here. Similarly, I thought it was going to hold right around 38. This plunge below 38 all the way to 36 kind of surprised me. Today's move a little bit surprising as well, down 1.7%. Copper did not do well, but look at this chart. Rising 200-day moving average. New 52-week high struck back here the week before Halloween on October 22nd, $44. Ultimately, this is your support. I didn't think it was going to get that close to the 200-day moving average, which is 35.11. It's very close here. My level, like I said, I didn't expect this to go far below 38. I think especially if and when folks rotate out of just straight up U.S. equities, as people have been addicted to Bitcoin, Ark, and regional banks, and they try and get into something like this, if you see the volatility pop up, fully expecting this end of next week, this could possibly be attractive, maybe sooner into, like Thanksgiving. I think this does get back towards 40. I don't hate this trade. There has been some, negative money flow, meaning sizable sell orders on the close. Yesterday was notable on that, and there's a couple of others that, week going into the election. But I do think this gets to 40. So from 36 to 40 is a nice 10% move. I'm long the December calls. I have to check the strike because I lowered my brokerage screen when I do the show here. All right, so that's GDX. So if you're looking for a position, maybe just pick your spots. But this, for one of them, we said IBIT, richly valued. Ark, richly valued. KRE, regional banks, richly valued. Want to be in all these for the year, 2, 3 years to come. But for right now, I wouldn't chase this for the next week. Okay. TAN, pretty much at levels. Don't really love chasing to the downside here. I want to do it when it at least gets a little bit of a bump or potentially rotation out of. Volatility is pretty much set where it is. And then the gold miners, I think this could finally be your opportunity, but be careful because you are going counter trend right here in terms of still down 1.7%. I'm not so sure this is done yet. Just interesting to know that 2 closes here outside of the Bollinger Band. You typically do not see that in even GDX. You had it back here on August 5th, just one time. And of course, that was the Nikkei crash. So we'll see. Rates are obviously telling a story as well, just elevated. And I do think we get 25 basis point cut in about 3 to 4 weeks when the Fed next meets. All right, so the top 3 absolute trades of the past 5 days. If you said, I just went to vote, now what do I do? Regardless of what your gusto, your gut was telling you on the results were, the best trades in the market, long IBIT, Bitcoin, 29% in 5 days. In 5 days, okay? The S&P is up 26% this year. Bitcoin, obviously, 55 vol asset versus SPY, which is like, 9. Absolutely crushing it. Best asset since election, since, he was declared winner. Second best, Ark. Okay. There's just going to be, that's a lot of Tesla and, him being in good graces, Musk. And then the last one, short TAN. That whole industry has significant trouble and they're not getting investment dollars. And he's not going to be super friendly in terms of EV credits and bringing business into those. And GM and Ford, and these guys have lagging inventory, and individual companies like SolarEdge and Enphase we talked about are having really tough commercial going forward difficulties. All right, so that is the video for today. Obviously, as always, watch Bitcoin. Crazy thing, over 85K here. And we will have another video on Thursday. Peace.